Welcome back, future CAs. So today this particular video will be on a small little topic called as a listed company. So as we have conducted our MCQ challenge yesterday, there were so many students who had problems in this particular question, the concept of listed company and unlisted company. So we'll first understand the question, we'll read the question, then we'll go and understand the definition of listed company. Then we'll also do one particular subjective question based on this logic of listed unlisted based on the RTP which was done in I guess in 2022. So we'll also do that. So this particular video will be three things. First, we'll understand the definition of listed company. We'll come back to this particular question which we have released in our MCQ challenge, and then we'll come back to a question which is also to be done based on this listed and unlisted. So let's go through the question first. Kaveri Goods Private Limited. So based on this, it is a private company. Issued 9% non-convertible debentures worth rupees 10 lakhs, and thereafter the directors contemplated to get them listed. So they have issued non-convertible debentures, and the directors of that company wanted these securities to be listed on a recognized stock exchange. After all the due formalities, these privately placed non-convertible debentures were listed. So they have also given the fact that these are privately placed. They are not from public offer. They are privately placed under section number 42. Which of the following options is applicable in the given situation? They are asking whether it is a listed company or a unlisted company. Based on your answers here and the reaction specifically, I know you have been confused on this answer. So let's understand the definition of listed company extensively with the complete exceptions and all. So first of all, what do you mean by listed company? Listed company means a company which got any of its securities. Now focus on this word, guys. Securities. What do you mean by securities? Securities includes n number of things. It includes shares, debentures, bonds, stock. It includes debentures, stock. It includes n number of activities, but broadly speaking, it has two verticals. It includes the concept of obviously our shares. Wait a second, guys. It obviously includes our shares, and it also includes our debentures. So continue the definition here. Listed company means a company which has any of its securities listed on a recognized stock exchange. As we all know, we have two major recognized stock exchanges in India, are NSE and BSE, National Stock Exchange and our Bombay Stock Exchange. Now based on this particular two lines of definition, this is actually the definition, but we have certain exceptions. So understand the definition first. Simply states that a company for raising finances will go and issue securities. The securities so issued by the company, if at all they are available for trading on the recognized stock exchange, that is called as listing on the recognized stock exchange, they will be called as a listed company. So they are trying to cover both private companies and a public company. So either private company or a public company got either its shares or its debentures listed on any one of the recognized stock exchange. It is called as a listed company. And we all know the word shares is again subclassified into two categories. It can be either our equity shares or it can also be our preference shares. Two types of shares are there, equity and preference. So can I sum up with the logic that either a private company or a public company got its equity shares or preference shares or debentures listed, made available on any one of the recognized stock exchange, that is either NSE, BSE, or even Kolkata Stock Exchange or etc. So it will be called as a listed company. But Companies Act states that yes, the two lines give all these perspectives, but based on this, I'll give you certain exceptions. There are a total of 3 exceptions which are given by Companies Act under the definition of listed company. So moving on, first understand the first exception here. First exception is applicable for a public company. So it is focusing only on the public companies. A public company which has not listed its equity shares but listed other securities. What do you mean by other securities? What come under the category of other securities? Either preference shares or debentures. So they have not listed their equity shares. Equity shares are not listed on the recognized stock exchange, but they got their preference shares or they got their debentures listed. And focusing on these two things, preference shares and debentures. Preference shares, as we all know, can only be issued when they are redeemable preference shares, and debentures are also always redeemable debentures, And whenever debentures and preference shares are issued, we have seen this in types of preference shares and types of debentures. We have convertible and non-convertible. What do you mean by convertible? Initially, they will be classified as a preference share or a debenture. At the later part of the tenure, once the tenure has completed, they will be converted into equity shares. So end of the day, today though they are classified as preference or debentures, in the future they will be converting themselves into equity shares. Now Companies Act states that if at all it is a public company and it has issued equity shares and those equity shares are listed on the recognized stock exchange, or they have issued other than equity shares but they will be converted into equity shares in the future, I'll still consider that company as a listed company. So what do you mean by exception here, sir? When will it not be considered as a listed company? When they have issued non-convertible redeemable preference shares, or they have issued non-convertible debt securities. So either non-convertible redeemable preference shares or non-convertible debentures are issued by the company on a private placement basis. Now we all know with this logic, private placement is something which is given to identified persons, specific persons, and it is not usually made available for the public at large. If it is not with the intention to give to the public at large, there is no reason for them to be listed on the recognized stock exchange. So can I indirectly say, to get that platform, to get that recognition as a listed company, though you have not given securities to the public at large, if a company comes and gets its securities listed, I'll not give them the recognition or the advantage of being a listed company. So Companies Act states that there are few provisions which are required to be satisfied to fall under the exception. So first thing is whether it is a public company or not. Now we will check if it is a public company whether it has listed its equity shares or other securities. If it has listed its equity shares, come on guys, answer on this. If it has listed its equity shares, it will be called as a listed or unlisted company. Yes, it is still a listed company. But if at all it has listed preference shares which are non-convertible or debt securities which are non-convertible, and they are issued on what basis? They are issued on a private placement basis, then they are excluded from the definition of listed company. They are not considered to be listed company. But all these issues must be happening obviously as per the provisions of SEBI regulation. Securities Exchange Board of India will obviously be overviewing all the provisions of this. So as per the SEBI regulations, if these securities are issued, it is not considered as a listed company. So what's the first exception, guys? Go through the first exception wordings here. Public company. First exception, a public company which has not listed their equity shares. That means equity shares are not listed, but they have listed their non-convertible debt securities or non-convertible redeemable preference shares. On what basis? They have issued, they have raised this money on a private placement basis, or either of 2 points. Then it is not considered as a listed company. Then the second exception is very simple. The second exception is actually covered in our amendment video which was released a couple of days back. If you have not yet watched the entire amendment video, it is hardly like 10 or 12 minutes. So I'll leave a link of that particular video in the description in the down below. So please do go watch it. So what was there in this amendment video specifically was a company which wants to raise finances can raise finances from India, and they're also now allowed to raise finances from a place, or I can call technically a jurisdiction, which is located outside India. So if at all a company which is located in India wants to raise finances from a person or from a area which is located outside India, they can do so by getting their securities listed on the stock exchange located outside India. If the stock exchange is located outside India, our Indian citizens or Indian public or Indian investors are not affected in the process. Then because the securities are not made available for trading in India, I'll still consider you as an unlisted company. Though this time understand the difference between 1 and 2 here. Point 2 focuses on any kind of securities. That means even equity shares are listed on a stock exchange located outside India in a foreign jurisdiction, I'll still consider that company as a unlisted company because the securities are not available for the purpose of trading for Indian investors. I'll still consider that as a unlisted company. Look at the wordings here. Public company which has not listed their equity shares on recognized stock exchange of India, but whose equity shares, understand this, equity shares itself are listed on a stock exchange located where? outside India in a foreign jurisdiction. If it is on a foreign jurisdiction, because they're not available, they're not considered as a listed company. And the last exception given for a private company states that a private company which has issued non-convertible debt securities. Non-convertible debt securities, again, on what basis? On a private placement basis, and got those securities listed on a recognized stock exchange. Now understand this logic from the basis. Private placement is something which is always done for a set of people, for a specific set of people, which is not expected to be traded with outsiders. So whenever you go for private placement, even though listing is not done, there is no requirement of listing in the first place. So what happens here, whenever you issue securities on a private placement basis and still you go on to get them listed on a recognized stock exchange, I'll not give you that terminology of calling yourself as a listed company. So based on three exceptions, understand, let's run through the three exceptions quickly. So first of all, what do you mean by listed company? Means a company which got any of its securities listed on any of the recognized stock exchanges of India. But there are a total of three exceptions, starting with the first exception. A public company which has not listed equity shares but has listed their non-convertible debt securities or non-convertible redeemable preference shares issued on a private placement basis on Indian stock exchanges. Because it is not equity shares, it is not considered as a listed company. Second exception was a process where it is a public company, it is issuing equity shares, but those equity shares are not listed of recognized stock exchange in India, but they are listed on a stock exchange of a foreign jurisdiction outside India. They are not considered as a listed company. Third case, where now it is a private company which has raised money by issue of a non-convertible debt securities, and those debt securities are listed on a recognized stock exchange, but they are issued on a private placement basis. They are still not considered as a listed company. So based on this particular question, now we'll come back to this MCQ and answer it out. Now tell me, first of all, what type of company we are dealing with in this particular question. We are dealing with a private company which has issued non-convertible debentures and it has issued on a private placement basis. Now based on these facts, now tell me whether it falls under exception. If yes, it falls under which category of the exception, 1, 2 or 3? Yes, you are absolutely right. The third point, third exception. Hence it is considered as a listed or not a listed company. Then that means your answer shall be option number B. KGCPL shall not be considered as a listed company. So I hope this has clarified the process of listed and unlisted company. To have a better understanding, we'll do a particular question which was asked in the RTP previously. Let's go through this question quickly, guys, and I'm going to stick only to the process of listed part here. This particular question was drafted for defining whether it's a listed company or unlisted company, at the same point of time asking the relation between companies, whether they are associate, holding or subsidiary, etc. So we, for this particular video, are going to be sticking only to the process of listed unlisted category, right? Look at the question here. Following are some of the securities issued by different companies related to each other as follows. First of all, based on the name itself, I can classify that it is a public company. A public company which has issued what kind of securities have been issued? Non-convertible redeemable preference shares issued on a private placement basis. And remember, everything is done on SEBI's regulations because it is an exception. Now start understanding, analyzing which part of the exception will apply, 1, 2 or 3. Good, guys, it gonna apply the provision 1 because they are other than equity securities. So it is not a listed company. Then again, based on the name, it is still classified as a public company. A public company now this time has issued non-convertible debt securities on a private placement basis. Again, it is still considered as the exception based on point number 1, which is not considered to be a listed company. Then last point, it is based on the name, it is now a private company which has issued non-convertible debt securities on a private placement basis. So basically this is an exception based on third point. So all the three companies in the given question are falling under the exceptions to the definition of listed company, hence they are not considered as a listed company. That would be your answer here. No, the aforesaid company shall not be considered as a listed company. And on top of that, they have also asked the relation between the companies based on the composition as well as the percentage of holding, subsidiary holding, associate company definition. So I hope all the provisions, all the logics behind listed, unlisted companies have been clarified. If you have any specific doubt on any of these particular points, please do leave a comment on this video. We'll get back to this. I'll get back to the answers in your comment sections itself. make sure that you are working on a regular basis on these provisions, these MCQs which have been you are participating in the channel, Telegram channel of ours. So make sure that you are not only participating but also learning and taking something out of it on a daily basis. Whatever question goes wrong for you, make sure that you properly analyze what has went wrong and understand the question, understand the concept behind it. So take care guys, continue your preparation, don't give up as of now. You still have enough time to complete both the groups of CA Inter in September attempt. So see you guys for tomorrow in tomorrow's video. Until then, take care, goodbye, thank you guys.